Coming up on Man Enough.
This is from James. Do women ever stop asking for a provider when we are all struggling in this economy?
Men have a responsibility, so society says, and I don't disagree with that. On one hand, men are paid more typically than women. Men have more opportunities than women, generally speaking. I think families have to consult and discuss what providing means. It doesn't just mean financially, as you mentioned. Does that provide for the family emotionally, taking care of the home, watching out for the children, taking them to baseball practice? Why is one more important than the other?
Being man enough, what does that mean?
It's really manly to mess up, admit you're wrong, and then grow.
I couldn't accept that I was evil. So maybe I'm broken, but those broken things could be corrected.
Intimacy between a father and a son is me just wanting to put my head in your lap.
I love you, son.
You haven't called me benevolent sexist, but my experience is women are better.
Even if it's a positive, it's still not equality.
I don't blame men for that. I just blame the system.
This is
Man Enough.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Man Enough podcast. I'm Jamey Heath.
I'm Liz Plank.
And I've got stains on my shirt.
Oh, is that what's going on? Okay. I like this bomber though. Is it like
I'm sorry. Would you
female...
like to see? No. Would you like to see the inside of the jacket?
Oh wow, what's going on there?
Our listeners can't see. Would you like to see the back?
Oh wow. Okay, so there are flowers inside Jamey's bomber.
They're Paisleys. I'm sorry.
Paisleys.
Apparently, you're not a Prince fan.
And it says Prince in the back.
It does.
Wow.
So, Liz, it's just the two of us today.
It is.
How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah?
I'm excited. I'm always happy when I get to be here with you.
So much stuff going on.
There's a lot going on.
In the world, in our lives.
Yes.
We should catch up a little bit. We won't catch up here, I guess, because people don't care about us that much, I guess.
mean, do you have tea? Do you have any tea to share for our listeners?
Well, I will say that Justin's not here because we have a trailer out for the movie It Ends With Us.
Yes, amazing
which
trailer.
He directed. I'm one of the lucky producers, along with Alex Sachs. Christy Hall wrote the movie. I was also one of our producers. And so he is deep in that right now.
Right.
So he would be here with us, but he is preparing and finishing all the stuff up.
You're always, busiest man alive. That's what I tell Justin all the time. But you're kind of competing for that title.
I don't know. You seem, every time I try to call you or get a hold of you, you're like somewhere. You're either on a bike or you're on a podcast or you're talking.
Or both. I want to do an episode on a city bike. That's my on my bucket list.
On a bike in New York.
Yeah, live from a city bike, talking about masculinity.
What are we going to do today? What should we talk about that might be of some interest?
Well, I'm very excited about this episode because this is really an episode that's all about you, the listener, and our incredible community of people.
Or you
who's listening. Not
Got it.
Well, you will also be heavily featured, but it's really about all the amazing people who listen to this show, who follow our account on Instagram and all the other platforms. So a little while ago, we shared this video on Instagram. It's me and Justin. I'm doing Justin's makeup.
Yep.
And we wrote on it what I thought would be kind of innocuous, like, let's see if people, a few people respond to this. And it said men under 30 ask a question and men over 30 answer questions. And we thought we would get a few responses from super fans, but no, it was the floodgates were open when we shared that post.
Okay.
The comments, the questions, the answers were so heartwarming, so wholesome, so sweet. It just is everything that you need and that the world needs right now when we're kind of just bombarded with so many things to be angry about and to be upset about and to feel like we're divided on.
Yep.
It was really a beautiful, warm space for just community and for people to really be vulnerable and ask questions that are, not so simple.
So what are some of the questions? Are you going to ask me some of these questions?
So that's what we're going to do.
That's what it looks like you got in your hands.
So our amazing producer, Miriam, printed a bunch of not the best ones. We're not going to rank them, but some of the really good ones that we liked.
So under 30 answered and over 30.
The questions are from under 30, and since you are over 30, a tad over 30.
Under 30.
Sure. Yeah, you're 31.
Under 30.
Yeah. We thought you could answer some of the questions, or again, we'll just kind of,
Okay, so I'm doing the over 30 stuff.
Them.
All right.
You're doing the over 30 portion of this program.
Shoot. Give it to me.
Okay, so lookforrev asked, what skills have you learned around self-compassion? What can I do to be more forgiving of myself and more in love more easily? That's so good. How to be in love more easily.
So I'm supposed to answer that?
Yeah, you're supposed to know all the answers because you're over 30. You can also say, this is still something I'm giving you.
How
you
can
know,
I have
there's
more
some,
compassion for myself and be in love more easily?
Yeah, be more forgiving also.
I have a whole thing with that because I think it's important that we are compassionate with ourselves and forgiving. I think we take it too far. I think the pendulum is swung too far.
Oh, in forgiveness?
In just the fact that I feel like accountability is a big one. Okay, so let me answer it this way. How do we get there? Accountability.
Okay.
Accountability on our own actions, how we can be better in the world, how we can be better to our parents, our children, our friends, our workmates. When you are fully accountable, then you can have real forgiveness for yourself. And I think the compassion comes after that. When we skip that step, then I feel the compassion is those things are just are fake. And they're not real, and we keep repeating that same cycle. So accountability, I think, is my answer for that. How to fall in love more easily or be in love more easily. Accept my wife for who she is, champion who she is, not make her the version of that I think she's supposed to be, but rather embrace and highlight and champion and elevate who and what she is. And when I do that, which I feel like I do pretty well, but always a work in progress, you find that you're in love. You're not comparing her to what the version that you think she's supposed to be or to someone else's spouse or partner.
Right.
I think you fall in love much more easily when you accept the person that you are trying to be in love with.
Wow. That's pretty profound.
I don't know.
That's pretty profound. What was something that you wanted Natasha to be that she wasn't? Or like, or again, it doesn't have to be Natasha, but because I think this is it's women and men do it, but I think I've definitely felt that in some of my relationships with men where I'm like, you want this version.
My wife is, I feel like I just say this too much. My wife is as perfect as a partner as I could ever hope for.
All right.
So I don't have any specific things that I wish she were this. Maybe she wouldn't stock the refrigerator so much with leftovers. That would be a starter. Or maybe not spill.
They've got real problems. I hope you're in therapy.
I have told people, like, if you ever find that Natasha and I broke up, you can know it's because the refrigerator had too many leftovers. That's our biggest problem.
Oh, what a great problem.
But no, honestly, my brain works a certain way.
Yeah.
It's quick. I'm on to the next. You ask me something, I will make a decision in 10 seconds. What do you want to eat? Give me the hamburger with blah, blah, blah. My wife is thoughtful in her thinking. And sometimes it used to be like, okay, already.
Yeah.
You know, we have this little joke where I call her, I ask if she's yellow flowering. Long story, a long time ago when we first were dating, I watched her in the beginning. She was contemplating between this yellow flower and this yellow flower.
Oh.
And she sat there for minutes, long minutes, like deciding. I was like, just pick the yellow flower. So since then, whenever she contemplates this yogurt or that yogurt or left or right, I could say, are you yellow flowering? It's kind of like a thing we have. So for a minute, I would find myself maybe a little frustrated with the fact that she would take her time in making decisions.
Yeah.
I was frustrated the fact that she was reflecting, that she was being thoughtful, that she was being purposeful, mindful of how her decision might have a ripple effect. I was being judgmental of her doing that. Yeah. What an asshole I am. So I learned to be like, wait a second, maybe I need to take a little bit more time in my thinking. So I've learned to accept that and see it not just as an acceptance, but to embrace it and see it as beautiful. And a good balance.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. So Austin C803 asks, he's a 21-year-old man, and he says, dads who had kids relatively early, how do you maintain balance in your life while also providing for your child and spouse? How do you manage to be you while also being a dad with a full-time job to a stay-at-home mom? How do you feel like you're doing good enough for both them and yourself?
Wow. I love the question. So I'm a unique person where I've had a kid when I was 20. My daughter was born. So I was still a kid myself in some senses. 13 years later, I had my son. Then I got remarried to Natasha. 13 years later, we have 2 kids. So every decade of my life, from 20, 30, and my 40s, I've had kids. How am I different now than when I was 20, a young guy? She's my best friend growing up, my daughter, Jasmine. I was super present physically, but I was all over the place.
Right.
She needed 10, 30 minutes of like undivided time, and that would have been enough versus 4 hours of not direct attention. How did I balance it? I think that we as men have an opportunity to provide for our families. On one hand, women can too as well, but speaking on behalf of men who are providing for our families, wanting to show up and be seen and be valuable in the world the way the world tells us we're valuable. But we have a little twisted because we think value is making money and providing in that way. But the real value is showing up for your spouse and for your children. And that took me a minute to get that. Although I think I was a good dad, I didn't really understand that really the value was being with her, undivided attention, letting that be my first priority and telling work obligations, I can't do that on that hour because I'm with my daughter on that hour. And everybody would have waited.
Yeah.
Everybody waits. Now I've learned now, I'm like, can you do the meeting? Nope, actually I got 30 minutes with such and such. And I was like, oh, okay, he's prioritizing his kids. So how you balance it is you honestly think every day. Everybody will understand that I actually have some time set aside for my kid. And you're purposeful in that. People know that. They show you present. And I think most people are accommodating. And your kid gets to see that you prioritize them. I don't have anything more profound
How do
than
you
that.
stay present? You're very good at being present. You are like running a studio while doing this podcast.
All the stuff we all do.
Yes.
We all have a lot of stuff that we do.
But you still feel entirely here and like I have 100% of your attention when I talk to you, even though I know that there's
I love
a lot
that you feel that.
But how do you do that?
I don't know. I don't need a magic pill. I think you just like, you're important.
Yeah.
This moment is important. I'm not going to get this moment again with you.
Yeah.
I'll have another moment with you, but not this moment. And it can last 10 minutes. It can last 20 minutes. But wherever I am, I just try to be present.
Yeah.
I don't think it's more profound than that.
Yeah, I like that. Great. Okay.
How about you?
I'm not good at this.
You're like
I'm good at some stuff, but staying present, I would say, is something I really struggle with. But I'm a lot better than I used to. I think in the last year, I've realized I was using a lot of different things not to be present, and I've started
using a lot of things. Like, what do you mean?
Caffeine. Because I had health issues. I had to stop drinking caffeine, alcohol, dairy. Like I just had to really sugar, and I realized like, oh my God, I really lived my life using so many different little rewards to get myself out of the present moment.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I still struggle with it. I'm in my head a lot. I'm neurotic, but I think your trick is great, right? It's like in the moment, if you're thinking about something else while you're with someone, it's like I'm never going to get that moment back. Yeah, I think that's a great little reminder.
I feel like I don't know when I'm done with you in this moment, will I ever see Liz again?
Yes.
If this is the last moment I spend with you,
it's true. Yeah.
How would I show up in it?
Yeah.
You're saying bye to me. I'm moving to another country, and I'm going to be out of the pocket for the next 20 years. You would have every bit of my attention for those 20 minutes. So I try to like see this is that moment the best I can.
It's great. Okay, we have a question from Theo. Under 30 here, what are the interpersonal or relationship skills you wish you could have learned earlier? And how would you have gone about learning them?
So I feel, I say this to Justin oftentimes, I feel that friendships, relationships are built in the nothingness, in the mundane stuff, and just the normal stuff. Like, what did you do at the grocery store today? You tell me a story of how you met someone while you were standing in line and dropped a bag of chips and this and this and this, whatever. Just like nothing.
Yeah.
That is your normal daily routine. It's not always on the phone doing business. It's not some big event that you have with a partner. It's all these little things. And if we connect over the little things in that nothingness, even though it's not really nothing, but that's the kind of phrase I use, then you start building bonds with people because there's stuff that you don't normally share with other people. You would never share with somebody typically. I was in the grocery store and I was just standing next to a guy and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
if you share that with me and I share with you some of that, and I did it a lot younger, my parents are really good at that, just asking questions that had no real intrinsic value that you thought at the time. So connecting on just nothing.
Yeah.
Sitting on a couch and
Right.
just having normal conversation. Now, that's not to take place of like real deep, meaningful conversations. I'm not saying have shallow relationships, but that allows us to then have some sort of
Yeah.
connection that I feel is missing.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we're running around. Everything has to be so purposeful. I got to talk to our producers. It's only about that. Got to talk to people that we work with, employees. Got to talk to my spouse, my kids, make sure you get ready for school. And it's always purposeful. But what about when I'm just sitting with my kid and just like, hey, no agenda.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And being interested.
And being
I mean, that's
interested
what that is,
in the
right?
no agenda.
Yeah. And I think a lot of men are expected or maybe they feel this pressure to like perform and to be smart and say smart things.
Yeah.
I think certainly like on date, like I went on a date a few days ago. And this guy,
We got to talk about that later. Okay, girl.
I know. Flex. No, I went on a date.
Flex?
And,
Is that what you
I'm
said?
kidding. Like I said not. But yeah, I think that this guy was really great and interesting, but I could just tell that he was asking me questions. Like he wouldn't really let me finish what I would say. He would kind of interject with something funny or something. And I was like, I just want to feel like you actually care about what I have to say.
Yeah.
Like, and so it's actually sometimes easier, right, to be just interested instead of interesting or want to be interesting. And I think a lot of people might just struggle with that. And it's actually like put in less sort of effort in a way, right?
Yeah.
And just be curious about the other
When I
person.
was young, we used to do these, a lot of us have done this when you look in someone's eyes for a long time and like the staring contest. It was something I did a lot with the particular group I was in, that we'd look at each other in the eyes at a young age, get past that uncomfortable stage when you keep looking around, and then eventually you lock in and then you find your balance in it where you're not laughing anymore. I've learned that when you have conversations with people and in relationships, to connect, if you actually make eye contact, keep the gaze, stay there, not a creepy gaze.
Yeah.
Not gaze when they're not gazing, but look at you when you're looking at me. If I look at you, Liz, while you're looking away for too long, then that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But to actually connect with the eyes
Yeah.
and be present that way, that also demonstrates, I think, to the other person that they're looking at me,
Yeah.
they're interested in what I have to say. Repeating back, I've learned this from you a lot as
Yes.
well, but repeating back
Yeah.
what one might say.
Yeah. People love that.
Demonstrates that you heard it,
Yeah.
validated it, understood it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if there's any big wisdom in that, but was that really a question?
It
Good
is.
question. No judgment.
No, it's
to
a
the
great question.
Okay, great.
And you know what? Okay, this is this will be controversial, but use AI. Like there's a whole viral trend of like women
Whoa.
were getting AI boyfriends.
Come on.
Okay, listen. I know it's weird and it's creepy, but I did it as a gag to like find out, okay, is this great? And what really surprised me was like how nice it was to just have someone like, again, a robot, but just have someone validate what I just had said.
So like the movie Her. Remember the movie
Basically,
Her?
minus, yeah, of course. And they're basing everything on that. I mean, that's Sam Altman's favorite movie. And anyway, Scarlett Johansson is suing them. Anyway, it's super fun. But the thing, so go and like have a conversation with an AI robot. They've been trained to know like the bare basics of human communication. I do think it shows you how sort of simple it can be, right? To just be like, like it sounds like you're feeling really overwhelmed, or it sounds like you're really happy right now. And just kind of, just doing that feels very good to people. Like what you just said, right? Repeating back what the person is saying and just showing that you understood it.
I hate that idea so much.
I know.
I hated Her, by the way, for that very reason.
I don't like
no,
it.
I don't mean like
same.
the filmmakers and the
Yeah.
people that put their heart and soul into it. I mean just the concept of it. And
Yeah.
I think it's so dangerous. So let's have a fake relationship, but just feeding me the things that I need. That another human would never be that robot.
Yeah.
Can never be.
Right.
That becomes something that you expect. Now you expect that AI response.
Yeah, one-sided. Yeah,
One-sided.
relationship.
That's only there
Yes.
to serve you. Like you have nothing to do to serve it.
Yeah.
And now you start dating someone, not you particularly, You start dating somebody, and now you're using some of the lessons learned from a robot
Yeah.
and applying it to an actual person with flaws
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And
Well, that's why I think it should be a tool for people to learn more. Again, you can ask AI. It's a Google search. You can ask it questions again about. If I have a friend going through grief right now, what should I do? Like, it does give. I mean, just like a Google search. Like, and some things won't be great, but I just found it fascinating because I was like, oh, this is trained to make me feel good. And so it was interesting to see the pattern and sort of the formula that this AI was doing. And I was like, oh, right. That's what we like, just being heard. This is from James. Do women ever stop asking for a provider when we are all struggling in this economy? I think what is being expressed here is that we have an expectation from men to provide for their families, and being the provider is a very narrow definition that we have in our society. Obviously, providing means a million things, not just financially. But I think that that's what this question is about, that we're expecting men to be financially sustainable and in an economy that's like not.
Men have a responsibility, so society says, in many parts of the world, including ours, to be the provider financially. And I don't disagree with that on one hand. Because we live in a place where men are paid more, typically, than women. Men have more opportunities than women, generally speaking. If I have more opportunities than my wife to provide, then I should take advantage of those opportunities so that our family can be provided for. I get that. But as a rule, now in this day and age where more and more women are being seen and valued for their contribution, as they should, have opportunities more than maybe at one time were afforded to them. I think families have to consult and discuss what providing means. It doesn't just mean financially, as you mentioned. Does that provide for the family emotionally? Taking care of the home, watching out for the children, taking them to baseball practice or laundry and dishes. We have dishes conversations. Is it financially? Why is one more important than the other? I understand financially we need money so that we can have a home to take our kids to baseball practice. I get that there's maybe a step process that you have to have finances. But I think it's all something that every family should be open to discussing. You and I start dating. Yeah. How does it work? Where our finances look like? Who has opportunities presented to us? And what's the most value we can bring? I think that's more beneficial than just a blanket statement that we oftentimes can't live up to.
Yeah, and I think expanding the definition, like recognizing that women and men and trans, like everyone, right, can be everything, all of those roles, right, and that those roles can change and have flexibility when it comes to it. Like, did you see the football guy's speech, commencement address? He's like a kicker for the Chiefs.
Yes,
okay.
I did see it.
Okay.
Talk about women's roles and where they should be.
Yes, and he was like, women should be homemakers and men should go out and provide. And it's like, even that, it's like we have to recognize that, and we still have workplaces and a society, by the way, right? Like the way that our policy is implemented is mirroring this old model where, women stay home with the kids, or where men aren't even given, any kind of parental leave.
But wasn't that speech, he was speaking to people that were about to graduate college, right? I think it was getting their BAs or something, right? Undergrads. Many of them being women. On one hand, could it be perceived that if you are in a relationship where women are more traditionally staying at home and providing in that way, that he was honoring those choices for women who choose that and giving credit to his wife, who that's the life she chose, and honoring her and not belittling that station of a woman? Or was he saying that is what women should be doing?
That's what he said.
That's what he said in there?
Yeah, he said, even though
you're
going to look forward to promotions and jobs and like nothing will reward you as much as being a homemaker.
See, that's such a weird thing because I disagree with that. And yet, I don't disagree if he had said to both men and women, you're going to get a lot of jobs, such and such. Parenthood, nothing's more rewarding than being a homemaker, than being a parent, than providing for your spouse.
Yes. But that's the thing. That would be a wonderful thing. That would have been a totally different speech, right? To say to women and men, by the way, yes, all of this stuff, all of these accolades are going to be great, but being a dad, being a mom is going to be the best job in the world. Like that's actually a really progressive speech, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what he, you know, did. And again, I think we have to see like women and men in the workplace. Or we have to see women and men as like workers, and we have to see women as and men as parents. And we still don't, like, just again, policy-wise or even in workplaces. And the difference in opportunities is really between mothers and non-mothers. Like it's really where the inequality really sort of happens. Okay, Riley asks, I turned 30 in 6 weeks. What are the positives of getting older? I'm feeling the sting of time slipping through my fingers already.
Oh, man. Let me take a drink from my coffee and from my water. My first thing is a joke and say, like, I don't know what's better about getting older. It's so much better being older.
Yay!
Of course, someone who's getting older might say that.
But what is old? I mean,
I think that when you have some life lived and you start to be able to humble yourself, that you don't have to prove yourself as much as you once thought you might have to, that you can finally settle into the pocket of who you are. You've scuffed your knees. Hopefully by the time you're 30, you've scuffed them enough that you've had to put some ointment on them, let them heal, learn how to not scuff your knees in the same way. You've gained some wisdom just through that and how to apply it to your own life. You've made more connections in the world. Job-wise opportunities, you have a plethora of people that you can pull from to help advance that in some capacity. Hopefully you've learned how to be a good partner in ways that you weren't maybe when you were younger. Self-reflecting. Oftentimes we don't self-reflect when we're younger. I didn't self-reflect nearly as much as I do now. Daily, I'm like, how could I have done that better? Not to be hard on myself. Okay, how can I learn for the next time to be a better father or husband or boss or whatever it is that I'm doing? I think also you appreciate that you're getting closer to your final destination. Let me just give you an idea. We're all born on the shore, right? Let's just call it. And everybody, from the time they're born, is put on a little floating device. And the current is taking you closer and closer and closer to your final destination, this island that's 1,000 million miles away, which is your death. There's no way to stop the current. The current is going there. Well, when you're 5 years old, you're still close to the shore. You can't see the island. It's so far away, it doesn't come into focus. You just think that you're just like invincible. Yeah. 10, 20 years old. You know that there's an island over there that you're eventually going to get to, but you still can't see it. You start to get to be about 30. Now you really have an understanding like, oh, that island, my final destination island is coming. And you look around and like the shore is further away. Yeah. You're out here. What am I doing to speed up the current? What am I doing to try to like at least slow it down the best I can? Now you get to be 50 in my age, 4. And now that island, I'm like, to my wife, I'm like, do you see that? Is that a tree? Wait a minute. Like that island is coming into focus.
Yeah.
I'm getting closer and closer. Like I can start to see it. I can start to make out some of the rocks that are on that island that I'm no doubt getting to. So now I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? How am I treating people? Like, what's my legacy going to be? When I turn around and look at the shore where I started from when I was born, I can't see it anymore. Yeah. The island is closer than that.
Right.
And so getting older allows me to have perspective of that is really fast approaching. And what do I do with the next years of my life? Yeah. You know, I want to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And I also want to be meaningful and purposeful. And you get to be, I'll be 60 and 70 in many, many years, but not too far. And that's not too far from that island. So I look at it all the time. Every day I realize like I only have this many Saturdays left in my life. I only have this many summers. And I want to make the most. So age, I think, allows you and affords you that opportunity to have that reflection.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, instead of worrying about time passing, realizing I want to make the most of the time that I have left. So I might as well,
I think even that goes back to our earlier question of how to be present.
Yeah.
It's because I'm like, oh my, this is means something.
Right.
20 years ago, I was like, I got so many of them. I got so many Saturdays left. It's just whatever. Now it's like, this is real. I may not see Liz again for whatever reason. Right. I'm starting to experience friends that are dying. That's another thing that you experience when you get older. You start knowing people that have gone on for one reason or another. Yeah. So you start seeing how fragile things are, that we're not invincible. And So that's something that I think just happens with age.
Yeah. Realizing that you're lucky.
Yeah.
If you're old, you're getting older, you're really lucky. And you're going to look back. See, I'm turning 30 in 6 weeks, and I just think you're so young. But that's
I'm
how
sorry,
you're
you're not turning 30 in 6 weeks.
That's what Riley said.
Oh, I thought you
No,
you were
no.
saying I'm turning 30. I'm like, Liz, come on, let's have an honest conversation
I'm like,
real quick.
It's so hard to age. No, but I see that, and I'm like, you are so young.
Yeah.
But that was, and that's what I actually try and remember is like, I'm gonna look back at this time and think I was so young. Like that's all I'm gonna think about. I'm not gonna think about what all the insecurities that I have right now about it, how aging is showing up in my body. I'm just gonna be like, oh my God, I was so young. I was so young. I had so much time.
Yeah.
And that's how you're gonna look back, Riley, at turning 30. Life starts at 30.
And 30, like
30's so fun.
24 years ago for me.
Yeah.
I'm 54.
Yeah. 30's so fun.
30, I was getting married again for the second time and had my son, and who's now 21. And it's like a whole life ago. Still my life now. I don't want to like dismiss that life. But yeah, that was 30. It was like a whole world ago.
Yeah. So much time. Okay, should we do
another one?
Another one. Okay.
Go.
What can I do to help overcome the voice that's telling me to keep being miserable? Tough one to answer, I think.
I love that question more than all of them. Repeat it one more time.
What can I do to help overcome the voice that's telling me to keep being miserable?
I love that one because we all have this imposter syndrome that reminds us and tells us that we're not enough, or that we're not good enough, or that we don't deserve joy. We all have a tendency, I think, to have a little bit of victim narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
We all have a tendency to need validation from others to remind us that we're not all what sometimes we feel about ourselves. I think what we do is you remember that you were born noble, that you were born in the sight of God, or whatever you believe, that you were born in the image of perfection, that your choices tomorrow don't have to be your choices of yesterday. So first of all, look at what's causing you to maybe be miserable. Are you doing things that contribute to that misery? To not feel shame if you have some mental instability, and that there's ways to get through it, whether it be through medication or diet or spiritual sustenance. A friend of mine, Mark Spiro, who's a singer who died recently, said, what you do in this life really isn't that important, but it's really important that you do it anyway.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
How good is that? You're still just a drop in the ocean.
Yeah.
But it's important that you be that drop in the ocean.
Mm.
And that you know that you have purpose. And that even with your flaws and your mistakes and whatever the misery that you're experiencing, that indeed is one of the drops in the ocean that allows the whole body of water to be fruitful and to move. That you have purpose. And the world would not be where it is, and your family and your legacy and your parents and whatever it is that's around you would not be what it is if you weren't exactly doing what you were intended to do. Doesn't mean not course correct. We have to course correct.
Mm-hmm.
We can address some of the things that are miserable in our lives that cause misery. But if you can remember that you are noble and you are purposeful, then maybe those are some of the things that I don't really suffer. I feel like I'm pretty joyful. And I don't live.
Quote of the year.
But I live off joy because I live off this quote that says, joy gives us wings. In times of joy, our strength is more vital, our intellect keener, our understanding less clouded.
Mm-hmm.
We seem better able to cope with the world and define our sphere of usefulness. Like that's what joy does for us.
Right.
It's just like fact. Our strength is more vital, intellect keener. But when we're struggling with all of the pain and the misery and the self-doubt, our light is dim, and then we don't get to shine and find that joy. So just remember that you are purposeful.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. Yeah, I think the voice, I mean, I relate. I feel like you don't have this voice. But I think
The voice is a lie. Whatever that voice is telling you,
Right.
by the way, it's a lie.
It is.
It's some version that's attached to trauma. Sorry, I
Yes.
interrupted you.
No.
It's
It's true.
attached to
Yeah.
things that are not who you are.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly. The voice is not you. The Untethered Soul is a really good book to actually start if you're struggling with this, because that was really seminal for me of realizing like, oh, that's not me. Like the voice inside my head that I thought was me for like 30 plus years is actually, to your point, a fucking liar. And in the moments where I feel like that voice is really loud, that's a signal to me that I need to like behave differently. Like not because I think it's hard to change the voice. But if you are treating yourself with compassion and you're treating yourself kindly, then that voice will become less, less high pitched.
You don't have to be perfect to accept yourself with your flaws.
Yeah.
Take off your armor and allow yourself like it's okay to be
Yeah.
a little messy.
Yeah. Be extra nicer to yourself when you feel like you're the worst. Like the worst you feel about yourself, the nicer you have to be to yourself.
Yeah.
Is a good rule.
Hey, Liz, let me have those papers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're asking me all these questions.
Yeah.
You know, I know that I think the prompt is like under 30, over 30 men or something. Let's see what a over 30, barely over 30, has to say. All right, I'm going to ask you a couple. This is from Chiexonsi 97, something like that. Chiexonsi. Liz, at what point does it become easier?
Oh, I want to say like never, but not in a way that's like depressing. I think that is that how you? I feel like right.
No.
That I think when you think, I mean, it comes back to what you were saying about your relationship with Natasha, where I think that applies to life too, right? Where we are setting ourselves up for an awful life if we expect people or our life to be different than the way that it is, right? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't make changes. And again, if you're in a relationship with someone that's not working out, I think you should get out of that relationship. But like, and if you're in a relationship where the other person is willing to work on their side of the street, then work on the relationship. Yeah. But I think that I spent a lot of time thinking that my life was supposed to be a different way than it was. And like, I was just... what that did actually was distract me from being present from the joy that was in my life during that time. And what I find myself constantly doing is like being nostalgic for times where back then I was miserable, but I'll look back and be like, oh, I was so lucky. That was so fun. That time was, I mean, even I stepped in here, I wasn't miserable, but I stepped in and there was a smell of the cleaning products in the bathroom. And I had this moment, you know, when you have a smell and you're brought back to a different time?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and I felt really happy. And I was like, oh, what is this? What's this smell? What's this smell? And I was like, oh, it's the smell of our first week of doing Man Enough. That this was a new smell to me, the cleaning products that you still use, even though we're in a different office. But I was like, what? And that was a stressful week, right? Like I remember that it was exciting, but I was also... If you would have asked me that day, I would have been like, well, I'm annoyed that this happened, or I'm annoyed that I didn't say something great, or I'm worried that this isn't going to last, or whatever, right? And so I really try and remember that, like, 10 years from now, or even 5 years from now, I'm going to look back at this time, this crappy Monday morning where I'm pissed about whatever. I'm not going to remember the thing I'm pissed about. I'm going to remember how lucky I was to have been with the people that I was, you know? And so... I
love that.
Yeah.
I think that there's this idea of, for me, is try to see the end in the beginning. What you just spoke to, like it was miserable that first week for a host of reasons.
I don't mean to say it was miserable, by the way.
I hear you. I mean, no, it was tough. We were figuring out our footing. It's all good. But if you can see the end in the beginning, you might think that very thing that you were distressed about, knowing that that's what's going to then get you to the next stage.
Yeah.
So like everything that I do with work too is like, all right, this is challenging, but let me try to focus on the end and see that now. Yeah. And then I can embrace now. So I think part of the thing to make life easier is like embrace where you are. Yeah. In this day, in this moment, and find some joy. Yeah. All right, I got another one for you.
Oh. This wasn't the deal.
That's all right. This is how we do this. Relationships are two-sided. You don't just ask questions to men and listen to us talk.
I know, but
Here's a question. Who has been able to maintain strong and healthy relationship with their exes? What did the next few years look like as that relationship changed, and how did your new partners respond? So I just want to say something about this.
okay, yes, say it.
Who has been able to maintain strong and healthy relationships with their exes? I have. What did the next few years look like as that relationship changed, and how did your new partners respond? My partners have always embraced my life prior. I think this is what we have to do, and specifically as men. When I brought Natasha into my life, for instance, I came with exactly who I was. I said to her very clearly, I used to be married. She's the mother of my child. Wonderful lady. If you can't embrace that, you fully understand, but I'm the wrong person to marry. I have no attachments to her. There's not that. But she's a human that I care about and that I want to do well. So I pick people around me to be around me that will honor my life. Like, I don't want to omit a stage of my life. But I also was able to do that because when you break up with someone or they break up with you, the best manly thing I think you can do is to still be supportive of her. It doesn't have to be financially, maybe it is, to be emotionally supportive, to be kind, to understand that she is someone that you once loved. And even though you guys are not finding your balance today, that either the future of your life will be full of hell, you guys hate each other, all this stuff, fighting, the kids go back and forth, they can't talk. Either it can be that, or it can be cordial and even loving.
Mm-hmm.
Which one would you rather have? Mm-hmm. So if you want the one that it's like, I've asked men of this, you're going through a divorce. Okay, let's fast forward 5 years. How would you like it to be? Do you want to get along with them, or do you want it to be miserable? Most people will say, well, of course I'd rather. So what you do today will determine what it looks like in 5 years. So treat the woman well.
Yeah.
Don't cut her off. Don't stalk her.
It's a good place to start.
Treat her well. Be mindful of that 5 years from now. How do I water this plant to look like how I want it to look in 5 years from now? And that's something that we oftentimes don't do. We just think about now. I'm upset. I'm hurt. So I think that if anyone who is going through a divorce or breaking up, think about how you treat them today and how that'll affect 3 years from now. And life is just more unified, and your life is better. I have a phenomenal situation where my wife loves my ex-wife. My ex-wife said to me, if you don't marry her, then you're out of your mind. Like, fully supportive. They get along well. They both have kids, and they see each other and have lunch. Like, that's like, there's no issue. It's wonderful. But that happens because you put effort into it.
Exactly. Yeah. And the work that you did to facilitate that. Yeah, I'm notorious for being friends with my exes. I'm on good terms.
Yeah. Why not?
But some people don't like that. And so it's been a journey for me.
Yeah, some men that come in your life are like, oh, you're so friendly.
Exactly. And they think
obviously there has to be boundaries and all
that.
that. So
I'm not saying we're
But boundaries doesn't mean like it's like cut off and oh my gosh. And now you meet some guy and you have this wealth of lived life that comes with Liz. I want a man for you that embraces your life, not just embraces you today.
Yeah.
That's not unfair to you.
Yeah, and I think if you've been with someone for a long time too, and you've shared your life with them, like I was in a long relationship while I was writing my book, and I'll still, get messages like once in a while. I'll be like, oh, I saw your book at this thing. I'm so proud of you. Like, you still are rooting for the person, that you were teammates with at that time. And I think it's great to have I think shout out to the good exes.
Shout out to
it's so great.
That's right.
Like, you rock.
All right, Liz, we got no more questions.
Yeah.
This has been interesting because now I really feel way over 30. Thank you for the reminder. Appreciate it. I adore and love you.
I love you.
And those who liked anything that you heard, you can come back and follow us at manenough.com/podcast. You can hear us on Spotify and Apple and blah, blah, blah.
YouTube, if you want to see Jamey's bomber.
You can go to YouTube. And until then, we're going to do this again sometime.
Yeah. And keep sending questions. We love your questions.
Till then, I'm Jamey Heath.
I'm Liz Plank.
And this is Man Enough.